I don't usually make videos today, but I woke up and the life force was like telling me to do that. And what's ironic, I actually woke up today and my neck was in more pain than usual. So it's like ironic. I was gonna like rest, you know, but then the life force, it like started moving. My neck started to feel a little better. Says go make videos. I said, cool, okay. I'd rather do that anyway. So I wanted to talk more now. Might be shifting the channel a little. I talked on a lot of practical subjects, practical levels about what happens when you start to wake up to your true nature and managing that and relationships and trying to call out all the the non-dual nonsense, you know. So now it's like something was like, okay, well, how can you grow spiritually? What are the nuts and bolts to that? I think I'm gonna make a separate video on like self-inquiry for dummies. See, self-inquiry is something you can actually use. That's a spiritual practice. Non-duality is not a spiritual practice. You know what non-duality is? I made a video about this like when I first started my channel. So I don't know how many people probably didn't see that. Those videos probably aren't getting promoted much. But I was talking about how non-duality, it's an outpouring. It's an outpouring of, you can say, it's an articulation of the state when the consciousness disidentifies with the body to a sufficient degree, and then it's an outpouring of what that state, that person's reading of that state. You're going to hear different things. But this is why you can't learn. How are you going to learn that? How are you going to learn when they say like the consciousness doesn't exist, character doesn't exist, the character appears in the consciousness, which doesn't really exist, and you're just something that can't be talked about, and there's no teaching and there's no nothing. There you go. Do you like that? See, now that's true. Yeah, that's true. But like, you don't share that to the mainstream. You might share that with an individual student or disciple if they're on that level, and in that moment the life force is guiding you to say something like that because maybe they're already experiencing that, and so then you're strengthening that realization. But for the most part, yeah, if everybody was in that state, they wouldn't even have these videos. Like, what's the point? So, what's non-duality? Oh yeah, got to say what non-duality is. Okay, let's say what duality is, and then we'll see automatically what's left, which is, you can say, the concept of non-duality. So duality: man, woman, happy, sad, healthy, sick, I feel good, I feel bad, oh my God, I'm like so spiritual right now, I'm like really spiritual, oh man, the ego really got me. Okay, this is duality. It's all concepts. Awakening, sleeping, this is the biggest concept that I want to debunk. Our true self isn't thinking about awakening. It's beyond awakening. The concept of awakening occurs when this human construct self gets created. When the consciousness creates that human self, the concepts of waking up is for the human self. The human self is trying to wake up to its true source, which is the consciousness. You see, consciousness is already awake. Consciousness is what we are. When this body leaves, consciousness is what you are. In deep sleep, you're consciousness. You're not thinking about all this stuff. Wake up, don't wake up. Spiritual, ego, he's bad, you're not even, like, you don't even know you exist. Okay, so we talked about duality. What are some examples of duality? So, you see, this is why I'm going to start talking more about self-inquiry. The self-inquiry is an actual tangible, spiritual practice or technique that you can use, which will then reveal your non-dualness. See, you can't use non-duality to reveal your non-dualness. Non-duality is an outpouring. It's a sharing of the recognition that your essence is non-dual. It's beyond duality. You see, so people have the cart before the horse. Why? Because the mind likes that. The mind's like, I can bypass everything, and I'm just going to learn the lingo, and then I'm going to spout it, and then like, oh man, that's the same as awakening. It's not. Okay, so self-inquiry, I'm going to make another video though, to keep things organized. Self-inquiry helps you to realize that you're not this dualistic, forms that you see. That you're not this body, you're not this gender, you're not this name. Because something becomes aware, like you just, see, I make the mistake sometimes, like when I was young, and I could just see somebody's energy and know how they're doing without asking them. I just assumed everybody could do that, So when I'm talking about, I didn't say it yet. Okay, so let me say what I was gonna say, and then I'll say what I'm talking about. So what I want to say is, you realize all these dualistic forms, but then something just, you notice there's something that's not doing anything. We're getting into self-inquiry, but whatever. There's something that's not doing anything. I'm talking right now, but I'm aware of a presence that's not speaking. It doesn't have a mouth. It doesn't have a mind. It doesn't have desires. This talking's happening in that. This is what's happening. So you can say that's your non-dual nature. So the self-inquiry videos are going to be more about how to access that. Because I know some people, they're like, what do you mean the presence? Or what do you mean the spaciousness? Or what do you mean the consciousness? Because the identity's so strong with the human bot, the human character. So all non-duality is, in a nutshell, I made a short video, I think it's called that, non-duality in a nutshell. All it is the recognition of this spaciousness that we are, that was what we are before it took the shape of this body, that is going to be there when this body disintegrates. That consciousness or spaciousness, that's non-duality. Now some may want to, the non-dual oaks are going to say, no, but that don't exist. Okay, wow, you're super spiritual, that's cool. But we're like being a little practical here. That's what non-duality is. That's it. That's what it is. You're doing something. That's what it means when you hear people sometimes, of course, they like to overuse these things and try to be cool. But when the real meaning, when somebody says like, oh, I'm doing something, but I'm not really doing it. Or I'm laughing, but I'm not really laughing. I'm having a catharsis, but I'm not really having one. What does it mean? It means that there's awareness that these actions from the human character are happening inside of space, but the space isn't doing it. The space is the groundwork. It's like the screen for the human self to act out all of its karma and try to wake up and do all that. But that space isn't doing that. That's your non-dual nature. That's what non-duality is. Now, self-inquiry is going to help get to where the consciousness starts to focus more on that. Once you know what that is. If you don't know what that is, then we might need to work individually. Or we can do it through group sessions. When I start those, I'm working on it. Because you have to know what that is. That's the fundamental. It's like if you want to go to college, you have to have a college to go to. It's like, oh, I want to go, there's the college. Okay, now I'm going to work towards getting in the college. I got to pay and take these silly classes that I don't really want to take, but society tells me to, oh yeah. So, but you need the college. That's what you're, So it's the same thing with the non-dual nature. You recognize that there's a presence in space here, and then the spiritual practice is to deepen this realization, which there's no end to. Keep deepening it. Keep deepening it. You don't reach and say, I'm now one with the space 100% of the time. Give me some money and I'll show you how to do it. See, as long as there is a form, then the game will continue forever. You can always merge more and more with your source. It gets more subtle, yeah. You get to where you're good. You get to where I like that analogy Mooji said once. It's like having a sweet mango that keeps getting sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. It never gets, it doesn't reach 100% sweetness. It just keeps getting sweeter. That's why you can have your cake and you can keep eating it too. This is the benefit. Now it doesn't feel like that until you get to a certain point, because we got to work this karma off and we have to abide by, this evolutionary law. You can't just bypass that. It's impossible. You can think you bypassed it, and some people do, and that can go on for some years, but through grace, it's going to crush that, and you're going to be humbled, and then you're going to feel good. You're going to be like, oh man, I'm so happy now that I don't know anything. Like, I'm done trying to be cool and like, oh yeah, like check me out, like, I'm spiritual. Like, that's done. You're happy now because you're one with your essence. And if somebody appreciates that and is attracted to that, okay, that's cool, but you don't need it, you're not hoping for it. Yeah, this is freedom. All right, I'm gonna make a self-inquiry video. See you soon.